Back to school season means covering those pesky textbooks so that you can keep them nice and protected to be used over and over again. But there's lots of different ways to make book covers. The way that I'm talking about is using your brown paper grocery bags so that way you can decorate them however you want. So if you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm Christy from Crafty Christy's Creations, and I'm here to help you master your silhouette. So with these brown paper bags and Silhouette Studio, what the heck are we going to do? We are going to decorate our book covers using some permanent vinyl. Now, I did try to sketch on the paper bag, but unfortunately, it's just not that easy once you get it cut out to fit on your book. It's too big to use on your 12 by 12 mat. Now, if you have a 24-inch mat and you can get it laid out on there, then power to you, go to town. But I have found having it folded and putting it on there, my sketch pens were just skipping and you just couldn't get the pressure right. So the next step, permanent vinyl. So let's start off by making our book cover. Let me show you how we're going to do that. Okay, I've got my standard grocery bag from the store. We're going to start by cutting down one side. And then we're going to cut this entire bottom off. So I'm just going to cut down one side of the bag. This is how I made my book covers when I was growing up. And it was really fun because then we got to decorate them however we wanted. Sometimes you need a little something to do while you're listening in class to keep you from falling asleep, right? Unfortunately, hate to admit that. So being able to doodle on my book cover was a really great way to keep me awake and half listening, which would be better than asleep, right? So we're just gonna I cut down that side, and now I'm just cutting out this entire bottom. And I don't know, I feel like cutting these brown paper bags is probably the hardest part of this whole process. I'm just cutting this bottom out. Okay. I'm sure it's fun to watch me struggle a little bit, right? Okay. Whew. We got the bottom cut out, and then the other thing we're going to do is cut off one of the full sides. So this was the side of the bag. I'm just going to cut one of these sides off as well. And this will still be plenty long for what we're doing. Okay, now we've got our book cover. And this is going to be the inside of the book cover. Move all of this off to the side here. So I'm going to put this on the inside so that way you don't have to look at it. And then you want to just try to center your book in the center here. And then you're going to fold over the top. And you want to make sure, I don't really want this seam to be right down the front. So you might want to keep that in mind. Maybe you make that the back cover, in which case I'm going to flip this around. And then I like to use how you've got the pre-made seams. I'm going to use that pre-made seam to be the spine where I can write on. So I'm just going to fold that at the top. And then I've got a little bit of an edge here. I'm going to fold on that edge. That'll be the fold to the inside. And then we're going to do the same thing on the back. I'm just going to fold this up and then make a seam there. Now you'll notice I have a lot more on the back than on the front. to be my folded inside cover, which is totally fine. You could also decide that you want a different spot. Maybe you don't care if you have a line down the spine of your book. So you could do it that way too. But I like to use that line that's already there. And then we're going to fold up the back and then just try to make a crease there. And then there's my front. I'm just going to reinforce that. And then here's the front. And then the next thing that we want to do is fold top and bottom. You want to leave a little bit hanging over, but I'm just going to bring and just try to make a crease line at the top and a crease at the bottom. And then we've got that. We're going to open this back up and then try to get that line nice and straight all the way across the entire, whoop! Try not to do that. If you do that, start over. Since this is just a demonstration, I am going to carry on. Tell ya, you know, they quit with the plastic bags where I live, and even the paper bags are not as thick as they used to be. So quality is a bit of an issue. Okay, I've got that folded down. Now all that's going to do is you want to just make sure that your book is still going to fit and you have a little bit of an edge top and bottom. That's going to fit just fine. We can go ahead and fold this over. Now, like I said, if this was really my book, I would definitely be starting over. We're going to fold this edge and slide that around. And then slide that all the way to that seam that we made. Go ahead and close that book. Okay, we can flip it over. And then now I'm going to do the same thing on the back. Just going to slide that edge all the way around and then just gently try to squeeze that all the way on to that seam so everything's nice and tightly fitting on there. If you decide that this is too much, you can cut some more of that length off of there if you need to. But I like to make it like a little bit of wiggle room all the way around. Okay, now I have the front of my book and then the spine. So I want to measure, let's use the inches side, from my seam all the way across. And I have, looks like just about 8 3/4 inches wide. And then I'm going to measure how tall this is. And I'm just over 11 inches tall. So I'm probably don't have enough. I just picked up a scrap piece here. So I can do, depending on how big I make it, I can do, this is a pre-calc, so I'm going to write pre-calculus on here. And then get this cut out of vinyl so I can place it on the front and down the side. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm using my sticky mat today with my Cameo 5. We'll go ahead and get this placed on the corner. We'll put that across the top. And looks like I've got 3 inches tall and I got 12 inches wide I'm going to go ahead and load that into the machine so we're all ready. And then you can see I have my auto blade already loaded in there. And then now we can come over to Silhouette Studio. And what we're going to do here is just type out pre-calculus. And then I'm just going to pick a nice font. Let's see. I like this Vanilla Cream. Oh, click on it. Vanilla Cream. And then I'm just going to try to resize. What did I say I had? Oh, no, I don't. I think it was only about 9 inches, so it needs to be a little bit smaller. I think it was like 8. Let's do 8 inches. And then I'm going to go ahead and convert this to a path. And you can see it got rid of that extra part there. I only have 3 inches, but I might have enough to go ahead and, I want the replicate. Make another copy down, and I do. Perfect. So I will have a copy to go, I like to put a little space. So now I have a copy to go across the front and then a copy to go down the side. We're going to come over to our send panel. We are cutting this out of permanent vinyl. This is Oracal 651. I like to use that setting. The only adjustments I make here is I turn that blade depth up to 2. Everything's loaded in. Oop, I have been cutting things before. We need to let it reset. Okay, and then everything's ready, and now I'm just going to hit send. And then it's going to go ahead and get that cut out for us. I'm not going to make you watch it sit here and cut everything, so I'll be back when it is all done cutting. Okay, it is all done cutting. We can go ahead and unload. And let me bring in my weeding tool here. I can take this off. I'm kind of, depending on how big, sometimes I like to weed on the mat, sometimes I like to weed off the mat. And let's see, this was a scrap piece, but I still have some extra over here. I can kind of see where the edge is, so I will just keep my scrap. And then now for all of this, I can go ahead and weed out my vinyl. And then we just need to pull the centers out of the A's and the E's. Okay, come on, come on. And then also on the P's, you got to pull out the centers. Okay, our thing is all weeded out here. And then I went ahead and cut a piece of my favorite masking tape here. And then again, I'm also going to cut this and keep my scrap. I always keep my scraps. I tend to make a lot of small things, like phone charger decals and stuff, so those little bit of scraps really work well for me to make things like that. And then I'm just going to add this, and I will reuse this. And let me grab my scraper tool, and then we can go ahead and just get this pressed on here. And then I'll reuse this transfer tape for this project. So I'm going to go ahead and peel this off. And it's peeling off my letters beautifully. That looks great. And then I can come over to my book. And then I can decide, I think that looks good for placement. And then I like to just pull everything nice and taut. And then again, I can come in with my scraper, try to just start in the middle. And then, especially because I'm doing like a vinyl on paper, I'm really only going to try to scrape right over those letters. I'm not going to do any scraping on that extra vinyl that I have towards the top. I don't need to give this any more reason to stick. This is also why I really love this masking tape type of transfer tape, because it works really well on really any surface. It comes off nicely on products like paper, and it's just a nice low tack, but I never have issues with it being not sticky enough to peel things off. But it's just like that perfect combination of just sticky enough to peel, but not too sticky that it ruins your base material. Okay, so there I have on the front, and then now we can come in, put this down here for me. And then I'll just start at one edge here. Just try to line that up. Again, coming in with that scraper. Okay, and then we can peel that off. Whoop. Not quite yet. Okay, it did really well on that too. Now for the spine of the book. This is obviously going to be easier to do laying down, putting it on the edge, but I want you to be able to see. So I'm just going to try to eyeball this in the center of the spine. And then again, I'll just lay it down here. I'm going to press from the center. And then I'm going to come in with my scraper tool again. And remember, I'm just going to run that scraper tool over where the letters are, not trying to let this stick any more than it needs to. And then I can just peel this back, and it will leave my vinyl right where I want it. Okay. So some of these just need a little extra love. Gonna press down, because those L's are kind of tall. But now you can see when you have it sitting in your locker, this is definitely too big. I should probably readjust, but I think too with this torn edge, it's a little, I don't want to overstress it anymore, but really I would have pulled this a lot more taut. So I probably would have trimmed a little bit more off the edge here. You see how far this side goes back into the book? I would trim some more off so that it's not so deep, so that I can pull that even more taut to the edge there. But when you're looking at it sitting in your locker, there you go. And then when you're looking at it in your hands, there you go. You know what book you have. And then when you get bored, you got plenty of room here to doodle and, write whatever you want, draw whatever you want. And then when you're sick of this or you want a new color, you just go ahead and grab a new bag and start over. So, how easy is that? And this is how you can make really fast and easy, customized book covers for your books for back to school season. So if you really enjoyed this, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe so that you don't miss out on any future Silhouette Studio tutorials. I am always making fun and helpful tutorials for Silhouette and for craft projects that will help you master your silhouette. I'll see you next time.